Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Today, we are continuing with Animorphs number 8, The Alien by K. Applegate. Now, a little warning. It's really storming today. It's like raining on and off, cloudy all day, sometimes drizzling, sometimes downpouring. There's thunder, lightning, so I might lose power. So if all of a sudden I'm reading, then I do an unusually long stop, that's not me suddenly becoming mute. That is the rain and the storm. I mean, jeez. It's great. This would be perfect weather if me and Rev Resner were staying inside all day. But we had to go out. He had a appointment today, and so yeah, it was really funny because it drizzled a little bit before we got in the car, and stopped once we entered the car and drove, and a few seconds before I opened the door, once we were at the dentist, I just as I was leaning over, it starts downpouring. I'm like, wow, great. So yeah. But now let's get to what you're all hopefully interested in because you clicked on the video, dramatic reading of Animorphs number 8, The Alien. So hopefully you're interested. If not, and you're still here, stick around and you might become addicted to the Animorphs series. Like bad dramatic readings. But anyways, let's not test the fates any longer. Let's jump in. An Andalite may think that humans are simple, open, trusting creatures, but they are more subtle than they seem to be at first. Possibly this is because of their spoken language, where no word ever means just one thing. From the Earth Diary of Eximli Isgorth Ithil. My day at the human school ended with the removal of the teacher who had been a controller. Prince Jake went home. I went back to the woods and gratefully resumed my true shape. But I spent a very bad afternoon and night. I realized that Prince Jake and the humans could never be true Shorms. I knew there was a wall between me and them, but they were all I had. Without them, I was utterly alone, and Prince Jake's anger and suspicion had hurt me. It is a terribly lonely thing to be a billion Earth miles from every living member of your own people. The next day, Marco invited me to hang out with him. This was a surprise. Marco has never been very friendly, unlike Cassie and Tobias and Prince Jake. Rachel, too, has never seemed to take to me. I morphed into my human body and met Marco at the edge of the woods. So, he said, you want to be Pinocchio, huh? What? Pinocchio was a little boy carved out of wood. He wanted to be a real-life human. I do not want to be a human. I merely wish to study them. Marco smiled. What a coincidence. And I want to study Andalites. It took several minutes for me to understand what he was saying. Oh, Prince Jake asked you to press me for information. Jake was a little ticked off that you didn't tell us everything you know, Marco said. Rachel was even more ticked. Come on, we have to catch the bus. You want to learn about humans, right? I thought I'd take you to a bookstore. Smart as you are, you can learn to read English. Bookstore? Book-store? Yeah, books, fiction, history. 100,000 books all about the human race, and you get to choose any of them you want. We have no secrets, unlike certain species I could mention who don't even tell us a little thing like how they eat with no mouth. I see. You open your society to me. Society. And you want me to do the same in return. I told Jake I could cleverly weasel all the information out of you, but he said, "No, Axe is a friend. Show him we have nothing to hide. Maybe he'll finally decide to trust us." I felt a pang of guilt. They were treating me with trust. They had never done anything to hurt me. On the contrary, they have been wonderful to me, good in every way. I have reasons for keeping secrets, I said. Marco nodded. Yeah, we know. Rachel says you probably aren't allowed to interfere with primitive races like humans. I was surprised. It was very close to the truth. At first, I did not know what to say. Marco smiled, a cold smile, and nodded his head. So that is it, right? Kind of too late for that attitude, isn't it? After all, the Yerks are interfering with us like crazy. I had no answer to give, but as I looked around at the street, all the humans in their cars, and all the humans lurching along on two legs, it occurred to me just how defenseless I would be without Prince Jake and Marco and the others. We had reached the bus stop. Suddenly, Marco slapped his pants. "Oh man, I left my money at home. We all pitched in for your book fund. I left it on my desk. Come on." "Where are we going?" "Ing, ing, ing, ing." That is a very satisfying sound. Yeah, everybody loves a good ing. We have to run over to my house. Don't worry, it's just around the corner. Marco led me down the street. There were houses on both sides, big, boxy structures with transparent rectangles here and there. "That is Prince Jake's house," I said. I had spent time in Prince Jake's house. "No, it's just the same model as his house. This is a subdivision. There are only like 5 different models of houses. They all look alike. Welcome to the suburbs, but it beats the place I used to live in." He was correct. There were only 5 types of house, although some had more grass and some had less. Also, some houses were decorated with items that had been placed on the grass. "What is that decoration?" I asked. Marco followed the direction of my gaze. Then he rolled his eyes upward. "That's a big wheel. It is very attractive, very colorful." "Uh-huh. I'd love to tell you how it works, but it's the very height of human technology, so it's a secret. Primitive races could get hold of big wheels, and then who knows what might happen." I am still learning about human mouth sounds, but I am very sure Marco's sound was sarcasm. There's my house. My dad is home working. He sprained his ankle, so he's using his home computer. Don't be weird, okay? No, I will not be weird. 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 I will act like a normal human. You act like a normal human and you'll win an Oscar, Marco said. He led the way up to his house and opened the door. Okay, look, you wait right there by that table. Don't go anywhere. If my dad comes in and talks to you, just say yes and no. Got it? Yes and no answers only. I'll run up to my room. I'm going to call one of the others to meet us at the bookstore. You're already driving me nuts. I stood by the table. There was a primitive computer on the table. It even had a solid two-dimensional screen and a keyboard, an actual keyboard. I touched the keyboard. It was amazing. And like computers once had keyboards too, although ours were very different, and it had been centuries since we'd used them. On the screen of the computer was a game. The object of the game was to spot the errors in a primitive symbolic language and correct them. Of course, before I could play, I had to make sense of the system. But that was simple enough. Once I understood the system, it was easy to spot the errors. I quickly rewrote it to make sense out of it. I win, I said to myself. Hello? I turned around. It was an older human. He was paler than Marco, but other features were similar. Marco had warned me to say nothing to his father, but yes and no. No, I said to Marco's father. I'm Marco's dad. Are you a friend of his? Yes. What's your name? No, I answered. Your name is No? Yes. That's an unusual name, isn't it? No, it's not. Yes. Yes, it's not an unusual name. No. Now I'm totally confused. Yes. Marco's father stared at me. Then in a loud voice, he yelled, Hey, Marco! Marco? What do you want? Your friend is here. Your friend, No, is here. No, I said. Yes, that's what I said. Marco came running down the stairs. Whoa! He cried. Dad, you met my friend? No, Marco's father said. What? Marco asked. Marco's father shook his head. I must be getting old. I don't understand you kids. Yes, I offered. After that, we went to the bookstore. And that's the end of that chapter. Uh, I've mentioned this before in this dramatic reading series, but there are some really iconic moments. And since I'm a huge fan of Animorphs, I hold certain scenes more dear to my heart than others. I mean, I love all the scenes, but there's just some that have some iconicness. And the scene between Axe and his father at the end of this chapter, iconic. So I think I nailed how I wanted to do Axe's voice in this scene down, but Marco's dad I think needed a little improvement. So let's see. I don't know why it became iconic, but it's amusing because here is Axe, some who's just learning about human culture and fitting in. And so he doesn't really know how to interpret everything. I mean, he had mentioned before that, each word doesn't mean just one thing. So he can, he can understand English, but at the same time, he can't understand the little nuances that we use in our day-to-day language. And so when Marco says, listen, just give yes or no answers only, Max takes that to mean, okay, I have to reply to everything with either yes or no. So yeah, that was a little amusing. And on a sadder note, in the beginning of this chapter, Max is reflecting on how alone he is. It's like there's no other Andalite for him to be with. And while the Animorphs are great, he knows that there's going to always have to be a wall between them, which is creating some distance. And he needs to be friends with people and be close, or else he'll probably go insane. So I just really want to give him a hug and a shitload of cinnamon buns. And for the question for this chapter, since now I guess I'm doing these for every dramatic reading, as Axe had stated before, there are these that in English there's, and I'm going to assume every other language on this planet, because there's connotations and denotations. So basically meaning there's words, there's definitions from not libraries, but definitions in dictionaries, and there's also definitions from how people use them. It's like hot can be referred to temperature, but it also has, this sexual undertone too. So, yeah. So, in your day-to-day life, in whatever language is your native language, and if you're not a native English speaker and you're listening to this video, hi. Hopefully I'm speaking correctly enough that this is easy enough for you to translate. But anyways, what word in your native language, not just a word, but a phrase, is the most confusing for you that you can't tell how that word got to mean that thing, or how this phrase meant to indicate this one situation? Basically, let's just talk about the oddness of language today. So comment below with, your answers to that, and also comment below with anything relating to this chapter. But remember, no major spoilers. I am hoping against hope that people get into the Animorphs series via these videos. So that, as everyone who has read the entire series knows, there are some huge twists and huge turns. So you don't want to be spoiled with them the first time through. But if you do want to talk spoilers with me, and you're on the YouTubes, link in the description to my Tumblr Ask box, where ask away. Let's have some spoilery Animorphs fun. And if you're new to this Animorphs fandom, welcome, new Fandomorph. Sadly, this fandom does not have cookies, but what it does have are cinnamon buns, aka humanity's greatest invention. And if you would like your very own copy of Animorphs number 8, The Alien by K.A. Applegate, if you are on the YouTube's link in the description, if you are on my bloggity blog, link down below, and also if you're on my Patreon, also link down below, and all three links will take you to where you can buy your very own copy of Animorphs number 8, The Alien by K.A. Applegate. Now, I know buying by those links might be something some of you are against for various reasons, But here's 3 things you get if you do buy via those links. 1, you get your very own copy of Animorphs number 8, The Alien by Kay Applegate. 2, you help support Kay Applegate. 3, you help support me in this blog. So if you like my blog as a whole, you've been a fan of it for a while, and you really want your own copy of Animorphs number 8, The Alien, think of buying from those links. And if you're on the YouTubes, and again, you just want to give Axe a hug. He's feeling lonely, he's confused, he's conflicted. You just want to give him a hug, click that like button so that you can give Axe like a virtual hug. And remember to subscribe to this channel because I will be reading the entire Animorphs series. And I'm also doing a smaller dramatic reading series of The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini, currently on the first book in the series. So if you want to have 2 awesome dramatic readings to keep up with, subscribe. And if you're watching this on my Blogly blog and watching on the desktop version of my Blogly blog, please choose the follow by email option so you will never miss out on another of my blog posts again. Now, because the original long post I was working on may take a month or 2 to actually finally complete, maybe gain release in that time, I'm releasing a quote-unquote smaller long post, which should be finished and, out for early access on Patreon in maybe a week at most, and then after that, then a week after it's the early access, you'll get, to read it for free. So, and that will be about Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. So, yeah. So, if you want to get alerts for that on my blog when that's up and running, do the follow by email. And the next episode of my Animorphs dramatic reading will be in a few short hours, so stay tuned. I have entire channel full of, dramatic readings, reviews, so, you'll probably be able to spend a few hours on here. And until next video, goodbye.